Hey Wayfinder, if this letter has found you, I genuinely don't think it's by accident. Not in the dramatic, the universe hand delivered this under the blood moon kind of way, although honestly, I wouldn't rule that out around here. I just think there are moments in life where something inside us quietly raises its hand and says there's more. Not more stuff, not more pressure, not another personality optimization spreadsheet, or a morning routine that requires waking up at 4 a.m. and drinking mushroom dust under a full moon while reciting affirmations backwards. I mean more you, more honesty, more noticing, more aliveness, more connection to the strange and beautiful and messy map that made you who you are. That's where Atlas of Becoming began, not as a business plan, not as a grand strategy, not even as an offer, honestly. It started because I felt something in me wake up and I didn't want to ignore her anymore. For years I wrote stories, built worlds in words, created businesses, dreamed loudly, thought deeply, felt everything too much and then pretended I didn't. You know, the human standard behaviour, but art arrived differently, quietly, patiently, like a doorway that has always existed in the corner of the room, waiting for me to finally notice it. So I started painting. Tiny pieces at first, fragments really, objects that felt loaded somehow, places that didn't fully exist, yet somehow did. Doors and fields and windows lit in the distance, moths and the moon and the ache of becoming, the grief of leaving old versions of yourself behind, the strange holiness of surviving your own life. Somewhere in the middle of all that, the atlas began forming around me. Not as a literal atlas, a soul map. A living archive with things that shape us: wonder, loss, joy, memory, longing, identity, dreams, girlhood, rage, reinvention, hope. The places inside ourselves we spend years trying not to look at, and the places we ache to return to. That's why we begin here, at the threshold, because every meaningful transformation starts there. Not in certainty, not after you've figured yourself out, not once you've become shinier or wiser or healed or more productive or more spiritually enlightened enough. It starts standing at the edge of something unknown with shaky hands and a nervous system doing the cha-cha. The threshold is the moment before becoming, the inhale before the decision, the creaky doorway, the pause at the edge of the woods, the version of you that knows things cannot remain the same. I think most people spend their entire lives avoiding thresholds because they're uncomfortable. I think thresholds are sacred. Nothing changes without crossing one. So this month is your invitation not to reinvent yourself, not to fix yourself, not to become someone else entirely, but to remember yourself more fully. And that distinction matters around here, because this is not self-improvement. This is self-remembrance. Around here we collect fragments, we follow symbols, we pay attention to coincidence and honour beauty, and romanticize our lives a little more than necessary. We ask strange questions and let art and memory and curiosity hold hands. We notice what keeps returning. You don't need to understand everything immediately. Actually, I'd argue the atlas works better when you don't. Some months may feel soft. Some may feel confronting. Some may feel like finding an old photograph of yourself and suddenly understanding something you didn't have the words for at the time. Some pieces may make sense instantly. Others may follow you around for weeks before landing in your chest while you're washing the dishes, or standing in the supermarket wondering whether you remember to buy the butter. That's normal. The atlas is not linear, neither are you. And perhaps the most important thing to know before we continue, you're allowed to interpret this world through your own soul. There are no gold stars for getting it right. Your map will not look like mine, and it shouldn't, because this is not about becoming replicas of one another. It's about becoming more honest versions of ourselves. So as you move through this month's artifacts and prompts and fragments and observations, I want you to ask yourself gently, what keeps calling me back to myself? Not the version built for survival, not the version built for performance or to be palatable, The real one. The one underneath the noise. She's usually quieter than people expect, but she's there. And I think she's been waiting at the threshold for quite some time. With Stardust, Kelly.